Hello, everyone, and welcome to this new episode of the MACE Podcast. I'm your host, Marco Macente, and I'm so excited to be here with you today. Today's episode is very special as we are going to focus on important topics as career management, career advancement, and success. And I'm going to discuss these amazing topics with two guests, Angela, Lane, and Sergey Gorbatov. Angela and Sergey work and write about the complex science of human performance while making it simple. Both are practicing senior executives in talent management, leveraging Fortune 500 experience and gained across four continents. Angela and Sergey equip leaders with practical tools for success. They are researchers, regular contributors to leading publications, and the authors of influential books like Fair Talk, Three Steps to Powerful Feedback, and Move Up or Move On 10 Secrets to Develop Your Career, which link is available in the description. They are also business podcasters, and they own a podcast titled The Leverage Point, where you can find, of course, amazing insights on how you can advance your career. The link of this podcast is available in the podcast description. I'm gonna share with Sergey and Angela amazing topics on how you can own your career, how we can navigate the change that we experience after the pandemic with incredible insights and suggestions. Please enjoy our conversation. Hi, Angela. Hi, Sergey. Welcome to the MACE Podcast. How are you?
Thank you so much for having us, Marco. We're super excited to be here.
It's great to be here.
Wow, I'm so grateful, and I'm so happy to have you both joining the MACE podcast. And actually, this is a special episode because this is the first episode that I have with two guests joining me in parallel. So I'm sure that the audience will treasure all the insights that you are going to share with us today. As a shared passion, you both created and own a podcast that is titled The Leverage Point Podcast. And the audience is able to find the link of this podcast in the podcast description. And in this podcast, you focus on relevant topics that affect thousands of professionals across the world, speaking about success, career development. I love the fact that you aim to leverage your listeners with amazing insights, which can help the audience level up and be inspired by your episodes. And this is also the reason why I created the MACE podcast and what the MACE podcast is aimed for, to inspire people and let them be the best they can be when talking about business topics that hit our workplace. So, having said that we have this amazing passion shared, why do you think that talking about careers, it is suddenly an important topic in these last years for both employees and employers? What about you, Angela?
Well, I think career has always been important. I think it's always been a critical topic. It's so connected to our well-being, to our satisfaction, to our physical health, to all aspects of our life. But I think coming out of the pandemic, people's tolerance for being unsatisfied at work is lower than it's ever been.
Yeah.
And so more and more people are reaching out, looking for support. They're looking for help. And one of the things we feel, Sergey and I feel really strongly about, is that we can democratize careers. It shouldn't be just one or two people that know how to figure out how to be successful at work. These are learnable skills, and we can all get a little bit better at it.
Yeah.
And answering your question, Marco, I think several reasons are conflated there. Even before the pandemic, the worker deal has already been changing.
Yeah.
Previously, what was different is career was sort of taken for granted.
Mm-hmm.
Staying with one employer for life or for a very long time was normal. The progression could be predicted. It was easier to balance work and life. But with technological advances, with the changes in the social fabric, with the way how we relate to each other, digitalization, it has upended those traditional ways of working. We see more and more shifts towards leaving the big corporates or having a side gig to the addition to your day job, and all in the service of or in the search for greater fulfillment and having a career on your terms. And I think that what's happening is people are trying to grasp more agency, right? And being more planful and mindful and in control.
Yeah, I totally agree with you both. And let's say that the pandemic has driven a little bit of change that more than ever we are seeing across the board in many, many, many different industries. So I'm so happy that you are taking time to explore such a kind of things within your podcast. And I encourage the people to dial in and to listen to your episodes, because I feel that the people will be inspired by your episodes, as I mentioned. So, besides being a podcaster, you are also authors, as you wrote a book that is titled Move Up or Move On. And again, the audience is able to find the link in the podcast descriptions. In this book, you do not simply talk about careers, but you share incredible insights to help people drive their career with intention, not just by coincidence. That means mastering skills and abilities that can strategize the career changes, moves, and advancements purposefully. So, having written this book, in essence, what determines career success from your research and experience, and which is the role of learning and development when growing in our career pathway? Let's start with you, Sergey.
When Angela and I first set off on the journey of writing the book, and by the way, the book has been more than 20 years in the making, because it's also some total of our professional experiences and research, we asked one question. In the world that is uncertain, when you don't know what to do, when you don't know what the future of work is going to look like, with the skills becoming obsolete faster than ever, jobs disappearing because of technology and new jobs appearing at an unprecedented rate, what is it going forward that will be true no matter what?
Yeah.
And we have distilled that to 10 practical behaviors that anyone can master and deploy in order to get more of what they want from their career. And that underpins the model that we have that we call the career edge model. And it's 4 quadrants, if you wish, because careers happen in space and in time. And so in time, you can focus in your career going forward. That's the future of your career. You can imagine what it's going to look like. You can think of creating options for yourself. And you can already have an impact on your career today by being more productive, by expanding your network, and so on. So that's the time axis. And then the place axis, well, there are things that are internal to you. You are making the plan for yourself, or you are becoming a better colleague. And there are things that are external to you where you have no control and you need to influence the external environment. Right? You can't influence the market, but you can make plans for that. You need to interact with other people. So those 4 quadrants and 10 behaviors that are linked to each of them, well, that's how we see the path to career success. And the best thing about it is that anyone can learn and anyone can become better at managing their career.
Yeah. What about you, Angela?
Well, you specifically mentioned learning, Marco, and that's so important. Part of what contributes to your success at work is your ability to continue to learn skills all the time. You might need them just to be better at what you're doing today. You might want to get great at what you're doing. You may be building skills to prepare for what you want to do next, to get more of what you want to do next. But all of us have to learn, if we want to be very successful, all of us have to learn how to learn. And we spend a lot of time in the book focusing on, we like to think of this as when you have a sprint, not a marathon. We want people to learn in short, rapid bursts. So the book contains a methodology that anyone can use to find the skill they want to learn, break it down into a small component, find something within that they can practice, repeat, etc. So you're absolutely right. The learning element is critical.
Yeah, and let's say that is a process, as you mentioned. So it starts, and we need to keep up with the process of learning because we never stop learning in our life. So it's very enhancing to see how you deep dive into your book and how you can find the methodology to be shared with the people that will be reading your book. And again, the link is in the podcast descriptions. So now I have another question for you because speaking about careers, it is evident, as we mentioned, that from 2020 and the pandemic, something has changed in the business world for millions of professionals across several industries with new trends, new styles of working. Which are the most important trends that we have in 2024 when people think about their careers and try to drive it forward? And what 2025 looks like, in your opinion? Let's start with you, Angela.
Well, I think some of the things that are true in 2024 have always been true.
Yeah.
You know, if you want a great career, know what you want to achieve, have a lot of clarity about what you want and the path that you can take to get there. Create value for the stakeholders that you're working for. Know who they are, know what they want, deliver them value. That is always going to be true.
Yeah.
Have a great reputation. You know, that is always, always important. Be known for the right things and be open to options. Those are true now in 24. They will be true in 25. What I think I would be focusing on, though, if I was to think about trends, the AI world is moving so rapidly. Even in the last, I want to say 3 months, the speed at which the technology is improving is unbelievable. That puts pressure on us to learn the skills of embracing and being able to utilize all of the technology that is available to us. So I would be focusing on in 2024, going into 2025, making sure that my learning plan includes maximizing the use of tools that can make me really effective.
Yeah.
Don't get left behind, Marco. That's what our message has to be to everybody.
Yeah. Thanks for sharing, Angela. What about you, Sergey?
Several things. So first, if we look at the what, so what I do, the content of the job, there are major tectonic shifts, I would say, in the world of work, and a lot of that has to do with AI. If we look at jobs like translator or a paralegal, people particularly who deal with information or analysis, so whole professions are at risk of becoming obsolete or wiped out. So if your job is at risk of automation, AI is coming after your job, then you need to start thinking, okay, what do I do? And skills like learning, upskilling, career planning, that is, okay, having different scenarios and advancing on those will become more and more important. Also, because of these technological changes, skills that are uniquely human will become at a premium, and being better than others in those will be your leverage point. So that is your competitive edge. In 2019, Angela and I we wrote an article about 9 leadership competencies that you need to master. So we focus specifically on leadership and being able to influence others. And after the pandemic, somebody found that article and say, "Oh, you wrote that in 2019. Are you futurists or something?" But if you look at those skills, we still believe that 5 years later they still hold true. What were they? Say, well, we operate in a world that is uncertain and where paradox is inherent. So navigating paradox when two things can be true, two opposites can be true at the same time. That's very important. Being an empathetic leader is important. Making sense for others, making order out of chaos, and building communities, connecting others will become more and more important. So And that's the how of work. And if you put this together, well, the what is changing.
Yeah.
The how also needs to change. And there are these meta skills on how do I manage my career? How do I successfully move between work experiences and do that effectively? Well, if you hold those three in mind and you're planful about them, well, that gives you an edge.
Yeah, thanks a lot for sharing such a kind of landscape in which we needed to navigate, right? When speaking about trends and a new style of working. And I would like to take one of the things that you both mentioned in order to ask you my next question, because of course, one of the trends that you mentioned is the fact that the careers are not linear as before, but we see now these connections and the lateral moves in the trajectory that a career may take. How can we deal with career advancements, breaks, changes, uncertainties? If you want to share a couple of insights on this matter. Let's start with you, Sergey.
The pandemic gave many people the realization that work is not there is. As people were in confinement and spending more time with their children, with their spouses, reconnecting with others, even virtually, they realized that there is they've reconsidered their relationship with work. So that's one. You only live once, right? YOLO. That sentiment is also prevalent. And looking at your career as a portfolio that consists of different phases is more and more acceptable. So having a side project, having a gig, taking a career break. It's even on CVs when I talk to different recruiters and I say, well, what do you see if there is a gap in the CV? And say, oh, we advise people not even put a career break or anything. You know, those gaps are no longer as relevant as they used to be. So in the industry also understand that it's okay. So I think that what's happening with those things that you mentioned, Marco, is there is a normalization around having non-traditional ways of building your career, of doing several things at the same time, or
Yeah.
doing nothing at all and focusing just on yourself and your family.
Yeah. What about you, Angela?
I would encourage people to look also at the positive side of that phenomena.
Yeah.
So I may be doing, a role that perhaps doesn't have as many hours as I would like. So I do something on the side and I'm getting a different experience somewhere else. I'm also prioritizing being active, for example, in my community. You can step back and look at that and say, wow, actually, I am developing an incredible array of different skills and experiences. I'm learning to apply my skills in different environments and in different contexts. And actually, the opportunity to learn from those you mentioned, Marco, specifically lateral moves, the opportunity to learn from those, even though it may not be that traditional advancement that we once would have wanted, it's all helping us get more of what we want over time. So
Yeah.
as long as we're making good choices and we're choosing stuff that gives us new skills or gives us some fulfillment or connects us to the right people, it's all part of the career mosaic.
Yeah. It's like a journey, right? Because having such a kind of move, we may find ourselves liking something that we were not supposed to like, or maybe that we didn't know. So, exploring such a kind of new niche of the career that can be lateral instead of something, linear, as we mentioned, could bring such a kind of added value for us, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And what I would think about that is, in doing that, so long as the lateral choices or the volunteer choices or the, side gig choices, as long as they are taking you somewhere, as long as they're bringing something to the table, it's good. You're still getting something out of it. But
Yeah.
that relies on people having a very clear sense of what they want.
Yeah.
So they can evaluate choices.
Yeah. Thanks a lot for sharing such a kind of amazing insights and suggestions. So we have explored the podcast that you own. We have explored the book that you brought, and we have explored a little bit, in essence, the trends and the styles and the new ways that we need to get customized to when exploring, our career after the pandemic. Now, I have one last question for you both in order to wrap up our amazing episode. Is there any last quote or thought that you would like to share with the audience? Let's start with you, Angela.
I'm going to give them one ask. It's the request. Spend time every week thinking about and doing something deliberate to advance your career. Our research shows that people spend less than 15 minutes a week doing something to deliberately support their long-term career. We spend longer, Sergey and I like to laugh, we spend longer planning our vacations than we do planning the career we'll have for the rest of our life. So my quote is spend more time, and my ask is that people, dedicate a little bit of very specific time each week to do something, one small thing to benefit their career.
Yeah. Utilizing these tools that we have could be one start for the people. What about you, Sergey?
Perfect.
I have something very similar. I promise you we haven't coordinated this. But if Angela talked about managing the career in a very deliberate, day-to-day sort of incremental way, my quote is more around how to overcome the fear of making tough career decisions. And the quote is from our mentor, Jim Shanley, who used to be a head of talent at Bank of America for many years, and incredibly smart and insightful thought leader. And he likes to say that if you don't risk your career, you risk your career.
Yeah.
So taking big bets on yourself.
Yeah.
Doing something that takes you out of the comfort zone, going zig where everyone goes zag, doing things that go against your grain, that are not natural. Those things will grow you most.
Yeah. So let's think out of the box. Let's go where we don't have the comfort, right? In order to stretch a little bit the comfort zone that we have, because it's there actually that we can improve and master our skills. So I really like these insights, Sergey. Thanks a lot for sharing it.
Yes, of course. To boldly go where no man has gone before.
Yeah. So thanks to you both. It has been a pleasure to have you as a guest in this amazing episode. I wish you all the best. I wish you all the best of luck of all the ongoing projects that you have. Speaking about career success and other tools and our episode that you plan to have at your podcast. And I hope that one day we can meet, who knows, maybe one day even in person. And I will look forward to meeting you again. Thanks a lot.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for being such a wonderful host, Michael.
Thank you. Bye-bye.